Not a game. It's not a movie. It's not a series. It is actually going to be Lexi doing concept and theory
of the BTS concepts.
Of the BTS concepts. And tonight she's going to go into her
first one.
Yeah, she's going to go into the theory, the concept ideas, and she's going to delve actually a little bit deeper into what she thinks. This is purely her opinion, so don't come for nobody, okay? This is purely her opinion. She has done great research, as she does with everything. She always researches. She goes through and she reviews a lot of the symbolisms. She is a person who critiques everyone on the daily, okay? If you ever see her just looking at you, she has looked at you, your whole you, your aura, your personality, how you react to people, your eye color, the way you present yourself. She has already
made a judgment
call on what she sees and what she feels and what she presumes to be the type of person that you may be. This is going to be strictly her opinion. What she's going to be doing is me, myself, and Jimin. This is going to be, like I say, this is things that she's looked into, what she has taken from years of just watching people and analyzing people. It's really interesting to hear her talk about it. Sometimes she can go on and on and on for hours, and I find a lot of it interesting and fascinating, and then sometimes I'm like,
you lost me.
Yeah, it's just right over my head. But it's really interesting. So,
but I wanted to do this one first because this one spoke to me a lot. And I heard this was the most anticipated, so I wanted to go ahead and get this one out first.
So this is going to be, as I said before, this is just her ideas, what she reads from it, what she's looked into, the symbolisms behind it, and why she thinks what she thinks about these. So if she goes into a whole lot of detail, y'all don't get lost. Go and look up some of the things that she's found by looking into lots of symbolism on different people. I mean, movie stars and rock stars and authors, and this is just something that she does. It's just she gets feeling. It is she gets feelings about certain things and certain people or certain events and things like that. And she came to me yesterday and she said, I'm being led to do this concept and try to break it down for Jimin's. With Jimin speaks more to her. I think she may understand it a little bit more, or maybe it speaks to her differently than it speaks to the rest of us. Let's go ahead and get into it then. And there's not going to be any sound. I'm going to go ahead and mute this because we will probably add just something in the back where it's just not a lot of silence. So, and yeah.
Yep. Harabee.
Do you need to have the...
No.
Okay, you don't want the things on?
Mm-mm.
Please stop.
Oh, what? Yeah, I recognize this as I have been in many art classes. I've seen this type of art form. So this art form is called kintsugi, I think is how you pronounce it. It's a ancient Japanese form of concept art to highlight or emphasize imperfections with gold or silver. I've seen that before. It's not usually done because people like art to look very perfect. Mm-hmm. But the emphasis on the imperfections, but loving the architecture as a whole, that definitely speaks. As Jimin knows, he has imperfections, but he wants you to love him for himself as a whole.
Exactly.
That's actually a good way to put that, man.
Don't hold that phone.
I'm already liking it.
Don't hold the phone. And go back and forth.
Okay, that looks like Apollo, the Greek god. Okay.
Well, what does Apollo symbolize?
Wait, whose is that? So it looks like he's got a Greek mythological theme going on here, and it looks like he has the god Apollo, from what I've seen so far. Artemis. Okay, so he's got Artemis in here as well. And what's interesting about that to me is Apollo and Artemis are actually twins.
In Greek mythology.
Yeah, in Greek mythology. Artemis is the representation of darkness and representative of the moon, while Apollo is representative of light and the sun. But what's interesting is Artemis was, I guess, mistakenly made for a hero, but in fact she was very vengeful and bad. And Apollo was actually a hero and was thought to be a womanizer or something like that. But that's the thing, though, is they're two sides of the same coin, but
both
very different, but similar.
Yeah, both different, but really sort of kind of like the same, since they came from the same pregnancy, I guess. So they would, like, twins have a bond like no other, and they know each other quite well. So that, like you say, it's like the same coin, two different sides. It's like yin and yang, good and bad, basically. Dark and light.
But they were able to get along together because they could understand each other. Because basically, like you said, they're the same person, they're twins.
Exactly.
Which is actually a very interesting concept.
But
so far.
with twins too, they have their differences, but they also have really, really stark. I say that wrong. They obviously look alike, but with twins that I've known in my life, they do have some stark differences. You know, a lot of times just. Off the wall. One twin, in the beginning, of course, obviously they were always dressed a lot when they're little, but then when they get out there and they start to get
have
older,
more of an independence to them.
right, and get more independent of each other, then you actually start to see the differences in each, from the way they dress to the way they fix their hair to their behaviors to the way they
probably design their rooms too,
right, to the way that they react to the way others people, come at them or talk to them. So although they are very, very similar or identical,
they have differences.
They are also very different. So that's just my thought just on twins.
That's an interesting concept, because that's also femininity and masculinity as well. Which, I mean, I think every person in the world has a bit of both in them. Just some tend to have.
We do. I think everybody has a feminine side and a masculine side. I think that's true for men and women.
American mannequins. Okay, last time I checked, now, don't mark me on this, but I think I had read somewhere that Jimin said he's creeped out or afraid of mannequins.
And we found out that that's actually something that's not really unusual. I mean, there's people who are afraid of a lot of things. Clowns, Yeah,
because pretty recently, and I think I may have mentioned this in one of our game reviews, it seems like recently the new phenomena, because I used to be afraid of the fear of clowns for some apparent reason. When I was little, almost every one of my classmates was afraid of clowns except me. And then now the new phenomena is everyone is afraid of mannequins.
Now, what was the thing behind the mannequins? You told me what mannequins were like.
Well, I mean, mannequins typically are like a representation of lifelessness, and typically it's to symbolize people who lack compassion or lack liveliness, which is basically mannequins. And sometimes they can be very creepy and overbearing depending on the number of them or the way they look.
Now, would a mannequin also be looked at if you had multiple mannequins? Would they all be representative?
They'd be like representative of imagined figures.
Right. But would they be representative of a group of people who are all the same?
Yeah, they can be, especially if they look the same, which typically a lot of mannequins, if people want to do a video with them, they tend to have the same ones because they want to have that look of they're all the same.
Right. So you could almost imagine this as the people in the world. They are different. Maybe they all look the same. Are they emotionless? Are they soulless? I mean, are they without emotion? Are they without feeling? Do they have a soul? And this is different for all people.
Okay, let's see. Going. I'm liking the different setups. I think he's trying to figure out where to convey his emotions through this. Because this is about themselves, this is about what they're feeling, what they're thinking, this is all them. There's no anybody else involved. This is BTS members' work for their own. So this is complete Jimin's idea, which I really like. Yep, definitely Greek mythology. Definitely.
Okay, who's the one Who's the one with the bow and arrow?
Artemis.
And then there is, if you want to point those out, Artemis.
Yeah, this is the Greek goddess Artemis because she always had a deer with her, and her most treasured possession was her bow and arrow. And she had the most perfect precision when it came to the bow and arrow.
Possibly doves?
It does, but the thing is, she was seen as a huntress, so she'd always hunt.
Okay.
See, in the deer right here, that was her best companion, named Orion. And people believe that's the only love interest she ever had in her life. Because she asked to be made a virgin for all eternity. So, makes sense.
Got a lot of stuff going on for his concept, so they've brought a lot of different things. Now that's a different hold on. That's a different picture thing.
See, these are all, I guess they've set them out to see what he would think he might want as part of the concept.
Yeah, a lot of choices out there. Since this is coming from him, he's going to have some things to choose from, and only he knows what his vision is. Yeah, only he knows what his vision is. Only he knows what he's trying to convey. So, is that when they were? It says, which picture do you want to show? This isn't part of the concept, was it?
I think it was like a sampler before for like their whole album, but this is when they started also coming up with their stuff. I mean, because he's the only one that's stuck sort of kind of with his trend. So he wants to show that one first. Ooh. Yep, see, there it is again, the art. How he shows himself, but then he walks the same way that the statue is positioned, and it has the gold outlining the imperfections and cracks.
So is that supposed to be the Greek god a minute ago? That's I don't remember.
Artemis.
Yeah. So that's possibly Artemis, because you said, okay, Artemis is a female. Okay.
And Apollo's a male.
And Apollo's male. Okay, I'm just...
But I think that's interesting. It's like he's basically showing himself that he knows he's imperfect, but he wants to show his imperfections, but he wants to be loved as a whole, like the statue is. Which is... I think that's a very unique way of conveying it. Yeah, I like that so far. That's a very different concept than I've seen of them do. This is their visions alone, and I like that they're able to do something that they feel is their way of speaking to their fans. I like that. I genuinely like that.
So anyway, that is, I'm assuming, concept number 1 from Me, Myself, and Jimin. There's 2 more out there, and Lexi wants to do individual videos for those. So be sure to come back for part 2 of Me, Myself, and Jimin. Until then, peace.